Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. I thank you, the listeners, for joining me today. And I want to extend my warmest appreciation to the MS&Me Radio Network for the opportunity to be with you today for another episode of my weekly series titled Managing Self. Today is March 11th, 2018. Somewhat of a special day for me because 19 years ago today, when my doctor called and told me, "You have multiple sclerosis," I said, "Okay." Actually, I said, great. Great that we could properly address the downright baffling issues that I had been experiencing the prior 6 months. The intention tremors accompanied by sight and verbal impairments. I'll be honest, although I seemingly emphatically said great, my verbal response was nothing short of begrudging. I heard the words coming out of the mouth of my physician, but I'm not sure I wanted to hear them. Denial? Perhaps. Sclerosis. Everyone is in denial about something. For Freud, denial was a defense against external realities that threaten the ego. And many psychologists today would argue that it can be a protective defense in the face of unbearable news, like a diagnosis of cancer or multiple sclerosis. My MS symptoms have gone away, but have come back, thus the term relapsing remitting. It's been like this for almost 20 years. Multiple sclerosis. I soon learned not only is it a chronic illness, persisting for a long time or constantly recurring, but that it was also deemed a degenerative disease, characterized by progressive, often irreversible deterioration and or loss of functions. My doctor, she went on with a positive note. It's not a brain tumor. I assumed that was an attempt to dampen the blow. Was she in denial? Undoubtedly, a terminal illness like a brain tumor is serious and cause for concern. But an MS diagnosis should be neither light nor lack concern. MS diagnosis. I went on with my life. Let's say at the age I was 26 years old. 26 years old, 99. I immediately started one of the disease-modifying drugs available, one of the three at the time, or DMDs, you may hear it termed. I did that. I returned to work. I worked hard, got a promotion, which was accompanied by more money and, of course, more stress. I even completed my MBA the following year. So my required credentials were, CPA, CIA, MBA, check, and check. Less than 2 years after that, I started competitive bodybuilding. A year after that, I actually became a certified fitness trainer, or CFT. I know I was a numbers girl, but I also like letters, apparently. So, I guess I just don't like the combination of letters MS. Imagine that. So, I returned back to work, and, I guess the question is, some ask, was MS chronic for you, or, did your symptoms last, or did they come back? Of course, I have relapse remitting MS, and the answer is yes. Yes, it has been chronic and has been recurring. I've lost my hearing a couple times, my right ear. I lost my hearing in my left ear. Some years later, I've lost my sight in my right eye. I've had foot drop, and my tremors, my intention tremors, they still exist today. Has my MS been deteriorating, even though I have relapse remitting? Unfortunately, I'd have to say yes. Someone might say, well, it's becoming progressively worse. I've been stable over the almost past 8 years. I've been stable with no reported new lesions or changes like that. But well, actually, I've been fortunate that my flare-ups that have occurred in the past, that led to vision loss, hearing loss, etc. The inflammation was reduced by successive rounds of steroids. So that's a good thing. However, to this very day, everything that I touch feels rough, like sandpaper, and I haven't really got to experience the softness of a cotton ball. Everything really feels rough to me, like sandpaper. And the weirdest thing is that contact with water actually is painful. It makes my hands hurt really, really, really bad. Despite the continued research and development of medications to slow the progression, there's still a void of any medicines or remedies to cure it. So people often ask, well, what do you do, or what did you do, or what do I do on a daily basis to manage my multiple sclerosis? And I tell them simply, I listened. I listened to my doctors. I listened to others with multiple sclerosis at various stages, newly diagnosed, maybe in the stage of denial. They don't want to accept that they have MS. Those who have accepted it. I listen at the support groups that I attend. I listen to posts that others have questions about, or information on social media. The comments on these posts, I listen to those as well. I've actually learned to talk less and listen more, especially while engaging in conversations and in discussions on calls and with friends and family. I know my MS is not the same as yours or theirs. Common symptoms we all share, but they're as different as snowflakes. I understand. I believe that listening is a primary method of learning. Of the 7 methods of learning or learning styles, listening is one of the ones that are probably for me. It's probably at the top of the list for me, and unfortunately, MS has actually tried to, over the 20 years, MS has tried to be a learning roadblock for me with each of the learning methods. You listeners out there, you probably share the same feeling that I do about that. MS kind of making it hard for you to, or challenging in some aspects to learn new things or even perform things with the different styles. I mean, there's a visual. When our eyesights are challenged, we can't see. So MS has affected that visual for me. I'm a logical person. I like mathematical stuff. I use reasoning and systems, but sometimes with cog fog, where we have difficulties with our cognitive abilities, that can be a problem for me. That's it's for me. It's not as much, or I'm going to say it's not as severe as some of my friends who actually have progressive primary MS, but definitely MS has impacted each of my utilization of the 7 learning methods. Everyone has a mix of learning styles. Some may find that they have a dominant style of learning with far less use of other styles. Others may find that they use different styles in different circumstances. There's no right mix, just like so many things we hear in life. There's no one size fits all. Pardon me. Nor are your styles fixed. Like maybe you're used to doing something one way and that's the only way you know how to do it. I personally know that. I know that you can develop the ability in less dominant styles, as well as further develop styles that you already use well. I know when I returned back to work and I was writing with, I'm right-handed. I'm right-handed. It's my dominant hand. But I know that when I was taking notes at work, I so that I didn't want to bring attention to my tremors, so I started to write and take notes with my left hand. And it wasn't the most legible, but it was doable. It was actually it worked. It worked out for me. So I know that you can learn to employ different methods at different times. Now, as I talk about the impact of learning styles or learning methods that we have and how they've been impacted by multiple sclerosis, it kind of makes you think about work, working, jobs, and made me think about a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. He said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." I think that's true. I think it's true because I know that I'm not the same as my peers of 2 decades ago. The CPAs of the world, the CIAs, the financial analysts or financial managers, shall I say. And when I hear the infamous question, "So what do you do for a living?" By the way, I'm sure many of you hear that often as well. The majority expect the response to that question. They expect the answer to basically explain what you do to be a productive member of society. And in the eyes of most people, that means having a job. Many with MS don't have jobs, or it's not that they don't have jobs, but have been somewhat stripped of their jobs. Not have the ability to carry on the functions as they once did in the past. So, some would say that many of us have been stripped of the lifelong answer to that question: what do you do, for a living? Now, I know in the past, many of you could probably proudly say that you're a teacher, lawyer, waitress, what have you. I know I don't respond the same as I could have responded back, over a decade ago, because things have changed, scenarios have changed, situations have changed, shall I say. I know, that I guess I would say that the interaction, it can be uncomfortable. It has been for me, but I guess lately I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. And for me, I just usually vaguely respond by saying, "Oh, I'm retired." And that's usually followed up with a surprise, "How? You're so young." And I simply tell them, tongue-in-cheek of course, I tell them I worked so hard in corporate America that the stress wore me out. I think it kind of did. But I said, now I'm medically retired. And my long-term disability insurance benefits, they're working for me. Again, tongue-in-cheek. That usually kind of ends it. If they ask further, I'll perhaps entertain their inquiries. I acknowledge multiple sclerosis, but I don't let it ruin my life. Definitely don't let it define me. Some deem it a thief, and more specifically, an identity thief. Why did you stop working? I stopped because my fatigue was so severe, it became impossible for me to work. A normal 40, 45, 50-hour week, different clients, on my toes or, on my feet, shall I say, being sharp, responsive, being on time, starting early, staying late, car commutes, international flights, my hands, well, I told you I can't really feel anything. My hands are kind of, my fingertips are my fingertips are numb, and the intention tremors still occur, especially if I'm trying to type. Though, if I'm trying to type quickly or fluently, they lock up on me, so my hands are like, I kind of say they're kind of shot, but it's not as bad as it could be. So it's not the same, but the ability to type, I know that could actually be circumvented with the speech to text software. I have friends who use that because they can't type. They cannot use their hands to type. And my trimmers, my fish trimmers can be somewhat embarrassing at times. I try not to let it be, but unfortunately, it is kind of disheartening. One thing, as far as work is, like right now, I still drive. Many of my friends don't drive, but I don't drive far. That means distance. The furthest distance I drive is for my monthly infusion, which is about probably 40 miles or so from home. And I don't drive much after dusk. There's no need to be driving around when I need to be home relaxing. Home relaxing instead of expending energy that needs to be reserved. I'm always thinking about reserving my energy, or as some would say, who are familiar with the spoon theory, reserving my spoons. As many of you know, or many of you know or can understand, that people oftentimes have a point of view that MS leaves the victims, or the sufferers, striving for the best quality of life that we can get. We're like, okay, I can't do the things I used to do, just to get as much as I can get out of life. That's how I function. I want to have the best quality of life. After all, I know that MS, it doesn't kill us, but for me, it's annoying at times, and for others, I know it's a really huge inconvenience. And when it's an inconvenience that's major, it can cause problems, major problems. I know one thing that's not as much of a problem for me or inconvenience is places or establishments without proper accessibility. No wheelchair ramps, lack of handy-capable parking spaces, service vehicles blocking fire lanes, and in those said spaces. That's really, it ticks me off. And oftentimes I'll just simply step in and make people aware, make them listen. Their ignorance or their lack of knowledge or information, people say ignorance is bliss. This ignorance is not bliss, especially not for the person trying to make their way to and through the entrance of an establishment with a blocked UPS or FedEx or whatever vehicle in the way of the ramp and where they can't get in. Fortunately, I found that most people who have confronted, they don't know. They don't know how they're actually breaking the law, and furthermore, they don't even realize how invisible illness are just as serious as visible ones. Just as you don't see somebody with a cane or a walker or what have you, don't dismiss why they have the blue placard. Or in my case, I've gotten approached because I don't have a blue placard. I'm like, yeah, and literally, I'm like, you are so quick to jump the gun. You didn't look at my license plate. I ditched the blue placard a long time ago. I'm like, I can't remember we have a mess. We can't remember everything. I can't remember to put little blue placard up there. So I just have license plates with the proper designation. Anyway, sometimes people ask me, why are you here? Why are you parking there? And I'm like, I'm sure more than once I've sarcastically asked, do you want to see my MRIs? Which they walked away and didn't say anything further. And a few times I've gone as far as contacting authorities to write citations for non-law abiding individuals. I view times like this as my civic duty, and I know that I myself, sometimes I need help or assistance, and when I do, I'm no longer too proud. I don't have so much pride that I can't ask for help. I've learned to listen to my body's needs, and to ask for help or assistance. Some people say, "Oh, you're swallowing your pride." I like to look at it as I'm embracing my humility. Both pride and humility are based on emotions or ways of thinking. Pride can be seen as a quality or as a fault, depending on who's communicating. Think about pride as an emotion. It generally has a pretty negative connotation, because when in emotion, pride, it means that you have negative thoughts about other people, tend to show a strong sense of superiority, and also generates destructive comments about other people. I tend to stay away from this type of negative energy. As we all know, negative energy usually leads to stress, and stress isn't good for MS. Oftentimes causing making us more susceptible to relapses and things like that. So I tend to stay away from this. Some of the comments I've seen on Twitter, it'll be between liberals and conservatives. The comments can be just pretty much offensive, and actually kind of sickening, and yeah, offensive. Let's just leave it at that. It can be pretty offensive, and it's ironic because a lot of these comments are destructive, and they're from so-called religious people. The same people who don't see pride as a quality, but as a sin of sins. On the flip side, humility is defined as pretty much a positive value in religion and spirituality. And on a psychological aspect, humility means one is unpretentious and modest. It often represents someone who doesn't think that he or she is better or more important than others. Both of these emotions have positive and negative connotations. Again, depending if you are more spiritual than philosopher, you can view it either way. I tend to concur with Aristotle, philosopher. He said that pride makes people more powerful and put them more likely in a position of success. I refrain from unjustly insulting someone, calling them stupid because he or she has a different opinion than I do. Like when someone tells me, "You don't look sick," I don't turn around and tell them, "Well, you don't look dumb, but you are." I'm not ashamed. What I want to say is I'm not ashamed of my living with MS, because thankfully it continues to humble me and shape me and shape my existence. So I think at the end, I think MS is recreating me. It keeps me seeking knowledge about it and to live the healthiest lifestyle that I can, in hopes of promoting a productive long life. My doctor, who relayed her prognosis of multiple sclerosis to me and the negative events that were to befall me in the future, well, she was wrong. I heard her, and I can't deny that I've had many of the common physical complications arising from multiple sclerosis, but I chose to listen to the only prognosis that I know to be infallible. That's the Word of God. I don't ever want to boast about my accomplishments or my achievements, how I'm beating MS. If I must boast, I must boast of the things that show my weakness. Why? Because, as in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's how I overcome my challenges or weaknesses. With awareness of MS, multiple sclerosis, I believe there's hope. And I plan to never stop sharing my story, to be an avenue towards a fight against and a cure for multiple sclerosis. But whether it be participation in annual walks or just wearing the color orange, making a casual connection with others in peer support groups or even on social media, like I said, I plan to never stop sharing my story to help, again, bring awareness to the cause. Now, as we finish the second half of March, MS Awareness Month, let us not forget to spread the word every day. Personally, I find that I learn more when I talk less and listen more. So I don't expect people to understand everything about my MS. I don't, or even just understand everything about multiple sclerosis in general. But what I do expect is when I tell you I can't do anything, when I tell you I can't do something anymore, any further, I hope that is respected. And, basically spread the word, let people know. Don't be too shy to let them know what you're going through or what your challenges are, what your accomplishments are. But I want to encourage you all to share your stories and learn of other stories. My goal personally is to make at least one-on-one MS connection each day for the rest of the month. That is March. And I hope that, I encourage you all to do the same thing. This is Dawn Melanie, and I thank you for listening. And I hope you can join me next week. Thank you.